Boss, I might need your translating skills here.
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo está?
Guy's awesome. He's so good.
All right, Sheriff Lamb here. You probably recognize this guy more than you recognize me. This is Frank, and we're doing a special edition of Fridays with Frank today. So we're going to get a chance to pull some traffic stops. And man, I've got a ton of questions for you too.
Man, I'm looking forward to doing some traffic, introducing you to the motoring public of Santan Valley here.
Well, this ought to be fun. This is going to be a real surprise for anybody out there.
People are going to get their hands full today when they get two approaches on a car, one on each side, one's me and one's you.
When we have riders, whether it be a family member or a civilian who's doing a ride along, we radio in to dispatch and let them know, hey, we have a rider with us. We have someone else in our car. Because typically deputies run with just only one person in the car. At the beginning of the shift, I call into dispatch. I'm like, hey, just so you know, I have Pinal 1 with me. Pinal 1 is Sheriff Lamb's call sign. And there was a moment of silence on the other end of the radio, because I don't think anyone had ever said that. Like, the sheriff doesn't do ride-alongs with people. Of course, it was his idea to do a ride-along with me. And then, Sam obviously came along for the ride. But I don't think dispatch had ever heard, hey, I'll have Pinal 1 aboard with me. So this day that we videoed this started out with a great laugh and just continued on for the whole day.
So I know one of the questions is, I'll just start right off the bat. Why so many pens?
I write a lot of tickets.
So he doesn't need all those
sometimes
pens.
people's hands are grody, and I don't want that pen back. So sometimes they not only get a ticket from the sheriff's office, but they also get a free pen because they're dirty and I don't want them back.
I like it. I like it.
When you approached the stoplight at Hunt Highway in Thompson, it was red, and you took it on two wheels, failing to come to a complete stop. And then you went through that construction zone there at about 56, 57, and posted speed limit here is 45. So all this stuff is good. I don't know, man, you sure like giving warnings.
Yeah, that's right.
And I sure like giving tickets.
Tell him, you say, lucky the sheriff's with me today.
You tell him.
Like, I don't give warnings.
Have you been pulled over before?
Not recently, no.
Everything on your license checks out, your registration checks out. You're lucky the sheriff's with Frank today? Because I'm going to cut you a break, all right? All right. So you got to slow down and be cognizant.
I like him even though he gives
Frank
warnings.
And I responded to a fatal accident right here before. Now there's a rumor going around that you're potentially from New York.
That is correct. Yes.
Which part of, because the New Yorkers always ask me, they're like, hey, he sounds like he's from New York. Which part of New York is he from?
So I'm from Long Island, graduated from East Islip High School. My dad's a commercial fisherman on the South Shore of Long Island, still is. And so I grew up on the water, my whole life, and then moved out here to Arizona because this is a great state to be in, and I love guns. And New York, obviously, with the political climate there is not very friendly to people that like guns. So Arizona is a way better fit for me.
It is the best place for guns.
That's it. That's
it
why
is
I'm
the best place for guns. We're pros at Crown Vics, okay?
Yeah.
We're professional Crown Vic operators. Is it overheating or what?
Well, I'll tell you what I was doing. I was driving.
Too fast?
No.
Oh, okay. That was a test. That was just a test.
Yeah.
I think this thing just ran out of tread. That's to be my professional opinion. Kind of some Frogger here.
Oh my God.
Got it. Do you have water in here?
I do.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yep.
Good seeing you again. So let's dispel a myth that I think a lot of people have, and it's existed for a long time. Are you required, do you have a quota of tickets that you are supposed to write?
The number one thing that I love about traffic enforcement in this agency is we get to do what we think is right. That's the best thing that we can do. So as long as you're doing, and that's agency-wide, not only in the traffic unit, but agency-wide with every supervisor, there is no requirement to give warnings. There's no requirement to give tickets. There's no requirement for arrests or parking tickets or any of the stupid things that a lot of other cities mandate that their officers and deputies do. Instead, we just get to do what's right. So and I tell people all the time, they'll let me write as many tickets as I want. But we don't have to do anything as long as we're doing something.
Yep. Still true today.
Obviously, I'm a traffic guy, so I love the traffic game. But there's some people that love dope, and maybe they're not going to get a lot of traffic stops. And the traffic stops they get, maybe they're not going to write a lot of tickets. But they're looking for something. They're looking for a dope house. They're looking for, whatever it may be. And they get to do that because they're still being productive. And that might not equate to some check mark on a stupid form that means nothing, except that you wrote a parking ticket to someone that probably just ruins their day and doesn't represent the agency well.
So you were driving in the left lane. Have you seen those videos I've done about?
Yeah, I'm going to be turning right up here.
Well, we followed you for about 2 miles.
Okay, I do.
And then somebody had to pass you on the right.
Hi, Frank.
I said let me handle this one, Frank. Let me handle this one. Now, what
it is in his wheelhouse.
What are your peers? We'll start with your peers from other agencies. Your prior agency. What do your peers think about Fridays with Frank?
They love the fact that we get to do what we do here.
I get a ton of cops that reach out to me from all over the place. I've gotten patches from Australia, the Czech Republic, from Switzerland, from the UK, from all over Canada. So it's really neat that this video series isn't only stuff that Frank deals with. This is other cops being able to say, hey, I see that same thing. People say the same thing to me all over the place. So this has been it's a great way not only to put the sheriff's office up on a pedestal, but also law enforcement as a whole. Because stuff that I'm dealing with isn't just Frank. It's stuff that law enforcement deals with, apparently not even all over the United States, but all over the world.
They love the fact that we have the discretion to walk up to a car and say, hey, will you slow down? Yeah, I'll slow down. All right, have a good day. That's it. No paperwork, you don't have to run someone, put them in the system. You don't have to give them a paper form that says, hey, if you want to complain on me, here's a form, you can do it.
Shot off the bow there.
You have to write them a ticket or have to write them a warning. You can just inconvenience someone for the shortest amount of time, get your point across by camping in the left lane. Pull someone over and say, hey, you can't just drive in the left lane. Give that education and let that person go back among and do what they're going to do. So they love the fact that we can still do that here. We have the discretion to arrest people, book them into jail, arrest people, release them, all of that. So I think the discretion is one of the biggest things that they see. And
still agree with
the fact that
today.
we obviously have a sense of humor. A lot of agencies say, hey, there's not a chance that we could put the content that we put on Fridays with Frank and stuff from the jail. The other agencies won't do that. They just don't have either they don't have the support of their command staff, the support of their citizenry, the support, cities don't have the support of their board of supervisors or city council to do that. And we overwhelmingly have that here, from my direct supervisor, the sergeant, all the way up to you, and everyone in between supports, showing that we have a personality. And
and I think it's needed in this profession.
And he's right.
I think most
Absolutely
people see
right.
that I'm very unconventional in the way I like to do this job.
He is unconventional.
And I'm a big believer, though, that you shouldn't pretend to do it one way and then be scared to actually show how you do it. And so this is part of the reason why we put all these behind the bars, Fridays with Frank, we did live PD, we did 60 Days In. Why? Because we want to show you what the job is and that we do it the same no matter what, whether the cameras are on us or not. And I think that's why it's important
a really good
that
point.
that voice be out there, because like you said, a lot of other agencies don't get the opportunity to do that.
And that's because their upper echelon doesn't have a sheriff lamb.
Previous agency,
That's why.
Agency, guys that have known me for years, that have worked with me for a decade or more, they know that I'm just making. Like whether I have the cameraman in here and we're doing traffic stops and I'm issuing citations or warnings, and the verbiage I use, that's verbiage that I've used forever. There's absolutely no difference in how I talk to people, in the verbiage that I use, in the sayings that I say, my approach to people, my tone, my demeanor, all of that is the same. And people are like, that's just you. My mom says it. That's just, I know, I've seen you say that before. So it's interesting. That
Little did we know that Mom would be sitting in the seat that Sheriff Lamb sat in right there. This was a great episode for me because it was the first time Sheriff Lamb had ever ridden with me. Through the history of Fridays with Frank, I've gotten to really get to know him probably better than a lot of other people do, simply because we see each other at community events, we see each other at stuff like this, and I've really gotten to know him, and getting to know him more only makes me love him more. I have a genuine friendship with him. I mean, he's my boss, and obviously I respect him as the head of the agency and as the leader that he is, but I really like him as a dude. He's just a cool dude. And interesting that in this, there was a little bit of kind of unintentional foreshadowing in me mentioning my mom, and then little did we know that so many episodes later that she would be sitting there in the seat right next to me. Doing that same thing that Sheriff Lamb did. So I also thought it was neat that day. I got to sign on with my mom aboard, and that was the first time I had ever said that.
Because not a lot of people want to do it. You know, like cops don't always want the attention, and I'm glad that you're a good face for the this profession, the agency. I could tell right away that people were gonna love it, and they do. Like everywhere I go, people are like, I freaking love Fridays with Frank.
Sheriff Lamb mentions, oh man, I always hear people ask me about Fridays with Frank. Within the sheriff's office, especially up in the area where all of the command staff is, they make fun of Sheriff Lamb because of the notoriety of Fridays with Frank, and they always say that I'm more popular than he is. So much so that recently he has begun to introduce himself as, hi, I'm Sheriff Lamb, I'm Frank's boss, which internally is awesome. I mean, because I am not more popular than him. Like he is of rock star proportions. But the ongoing joke is pretty great, and I like that he embraced it here, and even more so after this video.
We need more episodes of Fridays with Frank. That's probably one of the biggest complaints I get. Why are there not
This is
more
20 episodes in. We
Well, there's only one
have 70
Friday a
something
week,
episodes after this
right?
one.
I can't make more Fridays.
That's funny.
And you know, they say in showbiz, always leave them wanting more, right?
So that was 9 minutes of the sheriff and I BSing and just having a great time. There is a longer episode of that on YouTube. So if you wanted to go check it out, it's like 20 minutes. There's a lot that was taken out from this short video that's on there. So next we're going to get back to some individual episodes of Fridays with Frank and see what we have next.